Okay, think about this. A world where being desperate isn't just, a feeling. It's basically currency.
Mm-hmm.
Where hundreds of people are driven to play these kids' games, but they're deadly. And it's not for fun. It's for this insane amount of money.
Or just to survive another day.
Exactly. Just the chance to survive. This premise, it just exploded onto screens everywhere, didn't it? It became this huge global thing everyone is talking about.
Instantly, yeah.
So today, that's what we're diving into. Squid Game, Season 1.
The phenomenon.
Right. It's a South Korean survival drama. You've got 456 contestants, all deeply in debt, competing in these twisted children's games.
Very twisted.
For a massive prize, $45.6 billion, which, what is that, about 38 million US dollars?
Around that, yeah.
A life-changing amount.
But here's the kicker. You lose a game, you don't just go home. You die.
Simple as that.
Brutal. And these games, run by some mysterious organization, watched by super rich VIPs just for, entertainment.
Your own sick entertainment, yeah. So our mission today, it isn't just to recap the plot. I mean, you've probably seen it. And if you haven't, fair warning, major spoilers ahead for all 9 episodes. We're going deep.
All the way.
No, we want to really unpack it. The mechanics, the symbolism, the characters and how they change. Why did this hit such a nerve?
Why did it resonate so much?
Exactly. Okay, let's unpack this.
Well, what's really striking about Squid Game, I think, is just how fast it blew up globally.
Yeah, the speed was incredible.
Kwang Dong-hyuk's show, 9 episodes, drops on Netflix September 2021. And it wasn't just big in Korea. It immediately crossed all these cultural lines.
Mm-hmm.
The themes, even though they're rooted in specific Korean issues, they just connected everywhere.
And right at the core, it's this brutal look at desperation, isn't it? How financial hardship pushes ordinary people.
They'd be like us.
Yeah, people like you or me, into this completely extraordinary, lethal competition, making choices you can't even imagine.
Just to escape the trap they're already in.
So our way into this world is Seong Gi-hun. Player 456.
Our protagonist.
Right. He's introduced as, a gambling addict, lives with his elderly mom, struggling, lots of debt, bad choices.
A pretty relatable kind of down-on-his-luck guy in some ways.
Yeah. And he gets invited into this thing by some random recruiter on the subway. Then comes that first game. Red light, green light, just shocking.
Oh, the scale of the violence right from the start. It's terrifyingly clear.
And after that, there's this crucial moment. The players actually vote to end the game.
They get a choice.
They do, but most of them end up back there. They go back to their miserable lives outside, and then they choose to return.
And that's fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because they saw what happened. They saw the massacre.
Right.
But the majority still choose to re-enter. It really makes you question what choice even means when your back's against the wall like that.
Mm-hmm.
It hammers home that theme of debt, but also the illusion of agency, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
That going back into a death game feels like a better shot than staying outside.
That says so much about the outside world they're facing.
It really does. It speaks volumes about real-world pressures. Rising debt, huge economic gaps, feeling totally alienated. Things that aren't just in South Korea, they're everywhere, these impossible situations.
Absolutely. It's less a free choice, more like they're being forced back. And you see that with the other key players, too. They all walk back in willingly.
Yeah, their stories fill out that picture.
You've got Cho Sang-woo, player 218. Gi-hun knows him from childhood. Brilliant guy, supposedly, but a failed investment banker. Fraud charges hanging over him.
The golden boy who fell hard. Represents that pressure of expectation failure.
Then there's Kang Sae-byok, player 067. She's this really fierce North Korean defector. All she wants is to get her family back together.
Her fight feels very grounded in, basic human dignity finding connection.
And Ali Abdul, player 199. Such a contrast, so kind-hearted. A migrant worker being totally exploited by his boss.
He really embodies that vulnerability, doesn't he? The person at the very bottom, easily taken advantage of.
Yeah, each one is like a little window into a bigger societal issue.
Definitely. Microcosms.
And the games themselves, that's where the show just twists the knife, right? Taking childhood innocence and just corrupting it.
Absolutely. Episode 1, red light, green light. It's not just a game. It's like, boom, here's the power dynamic. Arbitrary, deadly.
255 players dead. Just like that, in the first game.
It establishes the stakes immediately. Human life is cheap in this system. Completely disposable.
Yeah. Then you get to episode 3, the man with the umbrella. The honeycomb game. PUBG.
Right. Shifts from just brute force survival to needing some cunning. or luck.
Players have to carve out shapes from this candy without it breaking, and we see Gi-hun figure out that trick, licking it. Resourceful.
Shows his determination, his will to survive, using his wits, not just strength.
But then you have Sang-woo. He figures out the game too, but he keeps it to himself, doesn't he?
Yeah, he keeps that tip from the others. You see that calculating darker side emerge pretty early on.
Sets up that moral contrast between them right away.
Exactly. That tension plays out through the whole series.
It's just so unsettling how they use these innocent games for such brutality. What's the message there, do you think, weaponizing nostalgia like that?
Well, I think it's a deep commentary on, lost innocence. How the pressures of being an adult, especially in desperate situations, can just warp everything, even the simplest things. The games stop being about playfulness.
Yeah.
They become about how far you'll go, what you'll sacrifice, what part of your humanity you'll give up to win, when it's literally life or death.
And things just keep escalating. The moral decay gets worse. Episode 4, Stick to the Team, Tug of War.
Ah, yes, the strategy game.
Gi-hun's team looks like the weaker one, physically. But they win because, Il-nam, the old man, comes up with this clever strategy.
Shows teamwork can work, but it's also where alliances really start to matter. And fracture.
Right, and it's not just the official games. Things get violent at night in the dorms. Player fights.
And the guards just let it happen, turn a blind eye, which hints that the system itself wants them to turn on each other.
Yeah, like it's part of the design. And there was that detail, too, about one player getting secret help from the staff.
Foreshadowing that the system isn't pure, even by its own twisted rules. There's corruption underneath.
And that corruption comes right out into the open in episode 5, A Fair World.
Oh, yeah.
Big time. The title itself feels ironic, right? Because they reveal this black market organ harvesting ring run by some of the guards.
Selling off the bodies of dead players. It completely shreds any idea of fairness within this horrible system.
But then the front man shows up, executes those guards, his justification. The games have to be fair.
Equal, at least. Externally. For the VIPs watching, the illusion must be maintained, even if it's deadly fairness. It's a chilling comment on, how oppressive systems maintain control through this facade of rules, even while being fundamentally corrupt.
Perceived justice in a rigged game. Wow. Okay, then we hit episode 6. Ganbu.
The marbles episode.
For so many people, this was the emotional turning point, the absolute gut punch.
Definitely. Players have to team up in pairs. They think it's cooperative.
Yeah, they form these bonds, choose a partner, a jumbu, only to find out.
Only one person in each pair can survive.
Yeah.
You have to take your partner's marbles.
It's just brutal, watching those betrayals. Ali trusting Sang-woo.
Oh, Ali's death is heartbreaking. He's so loyal. And Sang-woo just exploits that completely.
And Sae-bayuk, she connects with Ji-young, and Ji-young just decides to sacrifice herself.
Gives Sae-bayuk her marbles, yeah. A moment of real, painful humanity in the midst of it all.
While Gi-hun, he feels like he has to cheat against, Il-nam, player 001, the old man who seems to have dementia.
Right, playing on his confusion.
Yeah.
The moral compromises are just piling up.
What makes Ki-ganbu so devastating, do you think? More than just the deaths?
It's the destruction of trust, isn't it?
Yeah.
The system forces them to turn on the very people they've connected with. Their Gizon. Ali's fate is like this stark example of the vulnerable being sacrificed. But then Ji-young's sacrifice is the opposite, right? A flicker of selflessness. It forces you, the viewer, to ask, what would I do in that situation? Could I betray someone like that?
Yeah, it puts you right in their shoes. Horrible. And the devastation just keeps rolling. Episode 7, VIPs.
The arrival of the audience.
These masked, super wealthy VIPs show up to watch the next game live, which is the Glass Bridge.
Another game based on sheer luck. Or, calculus, if you're Sang-woo.
Tempered glass versus regular glass panels. Pick the wrong one, you fall. It's horrifying to watch.
And again, Sang-woo's ruthlessness shines through. He pushes another player forward to test the next panel.
Just pushes him to his death, cold. Only Gi-hun, Sang-woo, and Sae-gyok make it across.
The psychological damage at this point must be immense. The things they've done, seen.
Unbearable. And it leads straight into episode 8, Frontman. Sae-bayuk gets badly injured by flying glass from the bridge game.
Yeah, she's wounded, weakening.
And then Sang-woo, in the night, just kills her, coldly, to eliminate the competition before the final round.
After everything she represented, that resilience, that hope for her family, it's just crushing.
Meanwhile, there's that whole side plot with the detective, Hwang Jun-ho. He's infiltrated the island looking for his missing brother.
Right, trying to expose the games.
And he finds out the front man, the guy in charge.
Yeah.
It is his brother.
Another layer of betrayal and tragedy woven into the system's corruption.
Okay, so that brings us to the finale. Episode 9, One Lucky Day.
The final game.
It's the Squid Game itself. The childhood game the show's named after. A really physical, violent match between Gi-hun and Sang-woo.
The two childhood friends, now locked in mortal combat.
Gi-hun eventually gets the upper hand. He wins, but then he stops. He refuses to kill Sang-woo.
Right. He offers to quit. Both of them walk away, forget the prize money. A real moment of humanity from Gi-hun.
But Sang-woo, maybe guilt, maybe realizing what he'd become, he chooses to kill himself instead.
Yeah, stabbing himself in the neck.
Yeah.
Which means Gi-hun wins by default.
Yeah.
He's the sole survivor.
But his return to the world? It's not a happy ending, is it? He's got all this money, but he's broken.
Completely traumatized, haunted. The money means almost nothing to him initially. He can't connect back to his old life or what's left of it.
And then the show drops the final bomb, the big twist.
Oh, Ilnam, player 001.
The kindly old man with dementia.
Turns out he wasn't just some player. He was the mastermind, the creator of the games.
He joined his own game. Why? For fun. Because he was bored.
Exactly that. Boredom from immense wealth. He wanted to feel something, recapture some excitement before he died of a brain tumor. It's profoundly chilling.
What's truly fascinating there, like you said, is how it just reframes everything you just watched.
Completely. It's not just the rich exploiting the poor anymore. It's this deeper, almost nihilistic idea that extreme wealth can lead to such detachment, such an atrophy of empathy, that human lives become a game, a cure for boredom.
It intensifies that critique massively, doesn't it? The elite viewing actual human suffering as just entertainment, a spectacle. So, looking back then, what does this all mean for the characters, the message?
Well, you see the arc so clearly.
Yeah.
Gi-hun, player 456. He goes from this reckless, almost childlike gambler to someone who understands the true, horrific cost of survival. And he retains some morality, but he's deeply scarred.
Right. His trauma is about the games, but also about coming back to a world that feels just as broken.
Then Sang-woo, 218. Brilliant, but morally bankrupt by the end. Yeah. He's like a tragic symbol of how the system, the pressure to succeed in that capitalist framework can just corrode your soul. Kang Sabayok's 067, so fierce, so capable. But we see her humanity, her vulnerability, especially with Ji-young and her brother. She represents that marginalized hope, that resilience, which the system ultimately crushes.
Yeah, her death felt particularly cruel.
And Ali, 199, the symbol of exploitation, immigrant struggle. So trusting, so loyal, and ultimately betrayed. It's a story we see too often. And finally, Ilnam, 001, the twist villain. He's the embodiment of that detached, corrupt elite, treating human life as sport. The ultimate horror, really.
And the themes woven through it all. You mentioned capitalism, class inequality. It's more than just saying that, isn't it? It's showing the effects.
Exactly. It's a visceral indictment of late-stage capitalism's dehumanizing side, forcing the poor into this brutal competition while the rich watch, completely numb to it all.
And using childhood games, that contrast.
Yeah, it highlights how society forces you to abandon that innocence, that basic humanity, just to get by in this harsh adult world.
Debt and desperation, too. It felt so real, reflecting actual issues in Korea and globally.
Definitely. Rising debt, the wealth gap, feeling alienated. It turned these huge societal problems into this intense personal drama.
And the masks were everywhere.
Right. Concealing the VIPs, concealing the workers, the guards, symbolizing that loss of identity, the dehumanization that happens under these oppressive, faceless systems. You're just a number or a shape on a mask.
So, yeah, Squid Game is way more than just a thriller.
Oh, absolutely. It's brutal social commentary, but wrapped in this incredibly stylized violence, genuinely moving emotional stories, and visuals you just don't forget.
Which explains why it became such a monster hit for Netflix.
That combination was key. And Gi-hun's final decision, right at the end, he dyes his hair red. He's about to get on a plane to see his daughter.
But he sees the recruiter playing the same game with someone else.
Yeah, and he turns back. He doesn't get on a plane. He calls the number.
Decides to confront them instead.
Yeah. Suggests he's not just trying to escape anymore. Maybe he's going to try and fight the system itself. Sets up what's next, I guess.
Which leads us perfectly to our final thought for you, the listener. Thinking about the show's core idea, what systems do you see around you in the world today where the vulnerable are pitted against each other? Maybe not lethally, like in the show, but for the entertainment or the profit of the powerful.
Good question.
How do those dynamics play out? Maybe in your community, maybe on a bigger stage? Something to think about.
Definitely something to mull over.
thank you for joining us on this deep dive into Squid Game Season 1.